So Katrina's clinic is almost doing 7 figures a year, been kind of consistently growing, but around that sort of rate for a while now, but growing steadily, which is really impressive. You were getting 0 patients when you first started working with us from Facebook. Now you're getting around 15, 20 per month consistently from us.
7 years of when we first opened and learned how to do Facebook ads, like, it was amazing. You can get leads for pennies, and people, 50% conversions possible, and new clients are 20, 30 pounds a new client. And we had all that, and it was amazing. And it changes. That's the thing with Facebook, it always bloody changes.
Hello. We are back for another client interview. Today, we have one of our wonderful clients, Katrina Lake from Lake Therapy. It's been a good journey so far. So we've been working together for 4 months. It's been something that's been in the works for a while though. The first time I met Katrina was probably about 2 or 3 years ago at an event with Cairo Hub, and we're in the same program with Stefan as well. But in that time, and Katrina's going to go into a lot of detail, but really I think the biggest benefit of joining us is just adding another stream of consistent new patients to a practice that was already very, very, very successful. So Katrina's clinic is almost doing 7 figures a year, been kind of consistently growing, but around that sort of rate for a while now, but growing steadily, which is really impressive for a clinic of this size, also in an area like she is where there's quite a lot of competition. And I'm looking forward to getting a lot of her source on how to run a clinic and streamline it and make sure it works well, because it's really impressive what you've got running right now. Katrina, we were just talking about it before as well, about how you're just now a business owner. So I'm looking forward to going through all that. But welcome. If you want to do a little introduction to the people, but thank you for joining me.
No, thank you so much for having me on. So we've been 7 years in business now. And a lot of years working for other people in private practice before then. So I've kind of been through the whole era of Facebook marketing, even becoming a thing within the world of private practice as a stream, and seeing how it's grown and evolved over the years through to then joining up with you guys 4 months ago. So it's been really good.
And how many associates do you have right now currently?
We've got 8 physios, so yeah, we're a physio-led practice instead of chiropractors. I love chiropractic. I would love to have been a joint practice, ideally, but obviously chiropractors at the moment are like gold dust to try and recruit, so we have just always built through physios, and we're now almost at capacity.
Yeah, we were just talking about that now. Like you're at like 75% capacity right now then, are you?
Yeah, we are. So I've got a couple of room spaces where I could add one more person to squeeze like the last little bits of availability out of the rooms, but we're a 4 treatment room clinic, and working to like conventional physio appointments. We do like half hour, 45 minutes and 1 hour. So we do have like a physical time limitation on us. My aim is to be 75%. We're a little bit under, about 60 I'd say at the moment, so we've got a little bit more room to squeeze out of it.
Nice. That's really good. I think probably, and this is not usually the typical way I do these client interviews, but I think the biggest thing that you're really, really good at is building a business and building something that can operate without you. So it's obviously you've got your 8 associates, and your 8 physios. They might be employed, so maybe when I'm saying associates, they might be employed. However, then what's the other team structure you've got in place that are running that sort of the whole operation, so that you don't have to be involved in that sort of day-to-day with the front desk and management side of things?
Yes, we've got 4 part-time clinic assistants on the front desk. That's just what's worked for us, so we always just have one person on the front desk at a time. One of those ladies also does some practice management hours for us, so doing some of the off-the-desk training and people management side. And then we also have 2 VAs now in the Philippines who do a lot of the background admin and marketing and Canva and all that sort of stuff for us behind the scenes. And then obviously you guys inputting on the Facebook side. Yeah, we've just kind of built our little team now that we've got the people who are best at doing those roles doing the roles, and I can just kind of conduct the orchestra now.
That is so cool. And I think actually something that the first thing I want to go down into is the VAs, because not many practices I work with have VAs, but I think it's a really, really smart tactic. So you have 2 VAs. First question is, how did you find them?
So we used an agency. Am I allowed to plug them?
Okay. Sure, go for it. Yeah, give them a plug. Maybe I'll get an affiliate code.
So we were put in touch with an agency called Freedom Geeks, and they're fantastic. So that we kind of give them a brief of who we need, the skill set and the person that we're looking for in the hours, and then they'll go off and kind of do all the people work and just bring us forward like 3 candidates for us to do the final stage interviews with. So yeah, they're just an absolute dream to work with over there. So we've hired both of the ladies that we have through them, and it's just one of those win-win situations.
Nice.
Like again, they're really skilled, they're really good at what they do. It's jobs that we don't need to be having done in this country. They can be done from anywhere, so we're able to pay them really well for the Philippines, whereas we couldn't afford to have those roles if we're having to pay UK wages right now. They're just roles that just wouldn't have existed. So yeah, they've really kind of added to the business and made us a lot more accurate on like our boring stuff, our spreadsheets, our data, all those kind of bits, but also just much more efficient at say stuff like Canva and marketing. Like I can just have an idea, voice note it to my VA, and she's done it in an hour. It's amazing.
That's really cool. I feel like every single clinic, once they get above like probably 20 30k a month, should have some sort of virtual assistant or executive assistant that's helping them with that sort of day-to-day admin tracking, because then you, as you said, like being able to just do a voice note and then boom, by the time you're back from your walk or whatever, it's already done. It's a really, really nice feeling. And so they're full-time, both of them?
Yeah, they're both full-time now. Yeah, and I mean, I would say we don't always have maybe quite enough work for the marketing VA, but then I set her on like training. She'll just message me and go, I've got a few free hours this afternoon, I'll just send her some training videos, and she's just really good at sort of taking initiative. I can throw stuff at her and go, how about we did this, and she'll come back to me with spreadsheets and things that she's been researching and doing. But yeah, it's roles that we really, really needed within the business, but so we just couldn't have afforded to have hired on UK rates right now.
Nice. Okay, so one's full-time marketing, then one's full-time just admin?
Yes, one is full-time admin. She'll listen to like call recordings and stuff for us as well, though, to quality control check front desk. The lady that does marketing also does outbound calls for us. So the leads that are not Facebook generated, she handles all the lead follow-up for us as well.
Nice. Okay, cool. So, and then what's the other streams of marketing you've got going right now, apart from us?
So we always have some sort of screening out and about stuff going on. Obviously at the moment, recording this in the summer, we're busy nearly every weekend now. We're at some sort of summer fete or carnival or something to have a little stall. We try and get out and do as much corporate screening and talk stuff as we can, which again is where my BA has been amazing. Like she does all the outreach to local companies to try and book us talks to go in and meet their employees and see how we could help them. We don't do a lot of website and Google stuff because again, just in our area we haven't managed to get it working. We've tried various agencies and Google ads and stuff are just very, very tricky around here. We really drive our referrals. We're aiming for 50% of our new clients to come through referrals. So we're always using the kind of word of mouth aspects. We do sponsorship for local clubs, sports clubs and things. So again, that always drips a few people coming through. I think that's the main things.
It's quite a lot.
It is.
That's really good.
I think that's kind of what it's kind of what we've found we need as a practice is it's a couple of new clients from lots of different sources that adds up to what you need. Like you can't ever rely on one source. It'd be we need ideally 11, 12 new clients a week for the number of associates that we have, and you're not just going to get that from one source. So you have to have multiple streams feeding into the business, and then as one goes up the other goes down, and yeah.
I think that's really interesting because we have clients that only use us and they are able to get like that, but I think like those 40 patients per month they're looking for, plus with their referrals on top as well. But I think you've adapted to your area very well, because you're a very, very successful clinic in one of the most competitive areas in the country. I guess that's probably one of your biggest adaptations, is that having multiple different marketing streams, but then also that you're really maximizing your referral base. Like you have this pool of clients and then you're really pulling as many referrals from that as possible. What's the referral systems that because I remember you saying in late 2025 you had a few referral systems running. What are these referral systems you've got right now?
So we always, just in the background, have referral cards. The team know if they hear my husband, wife, whoever has a problem, they should be giving out cards for discounted initial consultation and reports. So that's kind of always there in the background. And then we'll run seasonal campaigns around Easter, Halloween, Christmas, New Year, where we deliberately drive it, and there'll be a prize, or a client who refers gets a free massage, or some sort of taking advantage of the seasonal advertising campaign as a reason to say, who do you know who needs our help, just to keep people aware of it. And when we do that consistently, so through like the autumn and winter, we have like a little series of those really close together, which I think the team sometimes worry it's like too much and it's too close. But if we track our numbers over a year, like our referrals are really strong and steady through that period. And then typically Easter through to September, we've not really had a campaign running because there's no obvious excuse to market, and our referrals do dip through that period. So that's one of the things that we're working on at the moment. This quarter, actually, the team's focus is just to be aware of it. Like it's not even like you shouldn't need to make an effort. Like if you just listen carefully to what everybody's saying in reception or during treatment sessions, there are so many people that need your help, and all you've got to do is pick up on that and then offer them a card. So yeah, that I'm kind of trying to make the team a bit more aware of that, just as an everyday thing as well, and not just hanging off the campaigns, but we do then run those whenever there's a good opportunity.
And so with the campaigns specifically, is it something that you're only promoting through like verbally, or do you have automations, text messages that you're also putting out as well? Or is it just mainly what's going on inside the practice is how you're promoting it?
We don't do a lot of text. We do email. So there's an email campaign that runs alongside what's happening. So we'll have the posters and the cards and everything in the clinic for the verbal side. And then there's an email campaign that goes out alongside it with a link for people to send on and book themselves in online if they think that we can help.
Nice. Okay, cool. But most of it's being driven from then what you're doing in like verbally, your team talking about it with patients. You think that's what's driving most of the referrals?
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So the in-clinic is definitely the biggest stream. The automation side works better for reactivations, for getting past clients to come back in for new episodes of care.
Okay, there's two ways I want to go about this. I want to stay on the referrals and we'll talk about reactivations in a minute, because that is a very important thing that you are good at. But with the referrals then, how are you training your, and this is a very, very broad question, it might be hard for you to answer, but how are you training your team at getting better, one with your physios at table talk, but then also your front desk team at conveying the message of, we can have referrals, anyone needs our help. How are you going about that training process, and what the key things that other people can focus on so they can increase their referrals from the way they're talking with patients?
I think the main thing in this little batch of training that we've done, because we haven't done it for a while, was kind of fishing in with each of them, like why they weren't doing it already. And it's just interesting that they all had like different hang-ups about it. I know one of my physios, who's really, really lovely, to begin with, he worried that he was being pushy if he gave somebody a card. So we had to just do a lot of kind of talking and coaching around, like, we've all had that feeling, if we're honest, like whatever business and industry we're in, particularly when you're new, if you meet somebody and you know there's somebody you can help, like most of us have had that internal thing of like, oh, should I say what I do and give them a card? And I've certainly been there. I always tell a story and this helped the team actually when we first opened, just the gym I was at the time, a girl jumps off a box. It was like a CrossFit style gym. Jumps off a box and sprained her ankle. So I helped her immediately because that's what we have to do as healthcare practitioners. And then the next class I was thinking like, oh, do I give her a card? Do I say that I've just opened a clinic in town and offer to help her? And I so nearly didn't, because that's my gym. That's just where I go to work out. I'm not there to promote myself. But I was like, no, like, shut up. You've just opened a business. You can help this lady, give her a card. So I did, and she came in and she said, I'm not even really here for my sprained ankle. I'm here because I've got scoliosis, and that happens to be my clinical specialty, and I didn't even know. And there was that moment of like going, if I hadn't have just backed it up and given her the card, she wouldn't have come in. We've now got 3 generations of her family in care and have been for 7 years, which, if people don't know our model as physios, sounds ridiculous, but we do a lot of chronic pain and chronic condition work. And it's like that one moment in my brain that I could have not given her a card even though I could help her, and that would have changed like 3 generations of her family not coming and getting help. It's bonkers. So that's a really long-winded way of saying how I train them, but that is what I do. Like, I don't focus on, they have scripts, they have things that they can say, but really kind of getting back to why are you not doing it? What barriers are happening? Like, what's the mental chatter that's going on? And then how do we get out of that and realize it's not about us, it's about the person in front of us, and all we're doing is offering to help somebody that we think we can help. So that's actually been the bigger game changer, rather than giving them scripts and things to say.
I love that. Sorry. That's really good. It's no, it's really no. I think it's like a really great way of training, because if you can like get to the root cause of it, like the beliefs that they have around referrals, then that's going to like just set them up perfectly, because that's their foundation. And then also for anyone training, if you can, the best way to relate to someone is share a past experience, right? So you doing that to them, if anyone's struggling with their team and they're not giving referrals, if you have one of your previous experiences you can share, it's going to help a lot with the team going, oh yeah, actually, yeah, this is worthwhile. Because that story, you just telling me that then, it just hits so hard. And so I think it's a really great way of training. But also it sounds like you reflected on this yourself quite a lot, and why, like, with how you're referring to people and how you previously, you might have had a bit of a blocker of like asking people for referrals. And then, so practitioners watching this as well, the owners should also reflect on that, and are they doing that to the same extent that they should be?
Absolutely, because our practices are always a reflection of us, right? We've all been taught this in businesses. So if there's anything you're observing that's going on in your team that they're doing or not doing, in some way it's going to link back to something that you do or don't do, and having that kind of self-awareness and reflection is uncomfortable but important.
Yeah, I definitely recommend everyone like try and go into your beliefs and ask like, okay, how do I feel about referring? Okay, why don't I refer? Okay, why do I believe that? And just keep asking why until you get to the root cause. And it'll probably like go back to something as like a child when someone tried to sell you something and you didn't like it or something, and then you have to just break that belief and then it will fix it. But that was really great. I think referrals is definitely, it's very impressive to be able to get, like, for a practice of your size, so many referrals. It's impressive. And so everyone should be taking that away and trying to implement pushing for referrals more, because there's no reason not to. You can help people, so why not? The next bit I wanted to go into, because this is what I love about your practice, is you're so good at, because of your area, you're not going to be able to be one of those practices. Well, maybe you could, but it's going to be harder to get 100 patients, 150 patients every single month. It's just because of your area, there's a lot of competition. So what you've done really well is maximising the pool of people you've already got, which is what you definitely should be doing. And so you mentioned reactivations earlier. So reactivating past patients. How does that process work for you? What do you do with past patients? What does it look like?
So alongside the seasonal campaigns, we'll divide the database into 2. So anybody who's a current client or has been active in the last few months will get the referral side of the campaign. If people haven't been in for more than 6 months, they'll get a reactivation sequence of emails instead. And it's always very similar, it's just different packaging. It's just when that lands, obviously, at the time that somebody needed to see it, then it brings them back in. So again, it's never like massive numbers, but it's just that steady trickle of people who'd come, were happy with the care, got the result they wanted, vanished off for a little while, and then popped back up in. So that's the main thing that we do seasonally. And then again, now we have our VAs. So we're still good at doing like initial follow-up phone calls. We had then really drifted on doing like longer term follow-up phone calls. So that's something that one of the VAs is getting back across now, is just checking in with people and just saying like, it's been a year since you were last in, we're just checking in how you are. And obviously if they're great. And if they're not, then they might want to come back in. So it's just that continuous like customer service side of it.
I imagine there's people watching this going, oh, that sounds a little bit pushy, or you're trying a bit hard there. But someone gave me this example once about the dentist. I don't know, my dentist is really good. Every 6 months or a year, they'll give me a call. And I'm just like, oh, thank you. Like, really appreciate that. Like, I needed to come in. That's a great reminder. And I think it should be viewed as the exact same thing for these practices that everyone who's watching it in yours. It's just like, even then just coming in for a checkup, it's worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly. And like, yes, there'll be the odd person that doesn't want to have a phone call, and then you just end it and take them off the list and you move on. But for that odd person, then there's 9 others that are grateful for the phone call, even if it is just a chat. And I think that's where it does depend so much on the tonality of the person on the phone. Obviously, they need to know a bit about the person and their history and what's going on in their life, so they can just have a chat. And if they're genuinely great and they don't need us, that's great. Move on. But how many times I'm the same. Will I have forgotten to book back in with my chiropractor, and I'll get a message being like, Kat, it's been 3 months, and I'm like, oh god, yeah, sorry, it's been on my list, how's it been 3 months? So for every person that doesn't want a phone call, there's somebody who's just genuinely really busy and disorganized and wants to come back and needed the little prompts. The other one that kind of flipped it for me in terms of feeling pushy was how people feel if you don't follow up. So I bumped into my kids are in lots of kids sports stuff now in the area, so I meet lots of parents, and one of them had said he'd been at a gymnastics club for years, coincidentally the same one that my daughter was at the time, and then he'd got annoyed with a few things, wasn't really happy, so just didn't renew for the next term. And he said no one ever contacted me. Like, no one ever got in touch to check how she was, what she's doing now. Like, if there was something we weren't happy about, I just pulled her out and never heard from them again. And he said that just made me feel like, great, we're there, we'll take your money, but we don't care who you are and what you're doing, and you can leave. And it was funny because I was actually feeling that same way about the club at the time, and was making the same decision that he had made to switch, and did the same thing. She'd been going there for years, stopped, never heard from them since. So there's also that flip side of...
So that is so interesting. Wow.
If you don't follow up, people feel like you don't love them and you don't care. So, like, give them a phone call. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah, I feel like in some business models it would just make so much sense that you would do that. Like, almost like in our model, like, it would just make so much sense that, like, if someone was pausing or something, I'd give them a call. But like in your model, and people watching this, potentially people would be like, oh no, there's no need to give them a call, they're just busy, or they don't need me anymore, or they're better. But like, yeah, you definitely should be giving them a call. So that's a really great insight. Now, so we've got some really good action steps so far, because I always like people to have action steps. I think 3 really good action steps. The first, probably most important one, is the referrals. Second one is reactivations. I think third one, which is, I haven't actually ever spoken about this, but is the VAs, like getting a VA. I definitely think that's a really great action step. So we've got 3 from there. The other thing I wanted to go into, because it's so funny, not every single, but a decent portion of my client interviews are clients that have been with Stefan. So obviously you've been working with Stefan for a while now. I don't know if you're in one of his private clients, but you've been doing a lot of work with him. And
no,
so what's been your biggest takeaways from working with Steph? Yeah, you're in the coaching group. What's been the biggest takeaways from working with Stefan?
So we'd coached already quite a lot before I joined. With Stefan, we've always had a business coach. Again, if people don't, then get one. You need that person, both for information and support, but also like the peer group support, I think, is so important. But why I changed and went with Stefan, I think he's the most balanced coach that I've had. I've had coaches in the past who are like super strong on marketing but not as good on communication or team building or vice versa. So we've got lots of good things from other coaches, but I think he's like very balanced across everything of the skill sets that you need to run the practice. Also his attention to detail and like the documentation and the SOPs, which are the boring side of it, let's be honest. But if you're going to have a practice or any business, doesn't matter what industry you're in, any business, like you have to be documenting how you do things and how you want the team to do them so that they can be reproduced, and other people can then train on your stuff without you being there. And he's just so good at all those steps of documentation and training and building the systems that can be reproducible. Yeah, I think that's my two biggest things. Like he's very balanced, and then he's very good at all that documentation.
Oh, I think I lost you for a second there, but I caught most of that. It's very interesting actually, because when we first met, I don't know if you remember this, but you were at the stage where I think you were a little bit more in your business 3 years ago. And then now you're really not in the business at all. And I assume it's that sort of the SOPs, the tracking, the systems that Stefan's given you that have allowed you to remove yourself from a practice to a decent extent. You're not completely removed, but you don't practice anymore, I don't think. So can you kind of talk me through how that transition worked? I know obviously that's a very big question, but kind of roughly, because I know there's a few practices who will be watching this and be like, oh, that'd be quite cool. At least to have the option. Doesn't mean you have to utilise it and not practice at all, but at least have the option to not practice if you want to.
Yeah, and that was the big thing for me starting was to have the option to remove myself. I didn't know 100% at the start that I would, but I also have 2 small children, so really like a big drive in having the practice was that I could balance mum and family life the way that I want to mum. Like I do all the school drop-offs, I do the pickups, I'm at every club, performance, whatever. I wanted to be that mum and to still be successful in a career. So that was a big driver, so I knew I needed to have the option to remove myself. That's been kind of a steady process, I guess. So I only ever worked 3 days a week clinically because my kids were 3.5, my son, and my daughter was 8 months old when we opened. So in hindsight, crazy lady, but
okay.
It just seemed like the right time.
Good time to start.
let's take on big premises and do this with a newborn and a toddler. But it meant that from the beginning, there was only so far I could compromise like mummy time. So I only ever did 3 shifts a week hands-on. And a lot of the other admin happened late at night after the kids were in bed, or crazy hour stuff looking back at it. And then I've just steadily gone down. So I think at one point I went to 2 shifts. I think at one point I was down to 1, and then we had some shit happen within the business. I did have to go back in a little bit more. And I was hanging on to 1 day a week. I don't know why, just like those clients that I'd been seeing from the start. And I don't know, I must have had some hang-ups about coming out completely. So I was hanging on to 1 day a week until last autumn when I started teaching at the Scotland College for Chiropractic. And then realised like trying to run a business, do a day a week of clinical, write a module, commute to Edinburgh once a week, be a mum, everything else was maybe a little bit insane. So I did finally give up my last clinical day. And all the other sort of side of the business, having the SOPs, having the training videos, so just recording stuff and putting it on a training platform. I know not everyone wants to do videos and training platforms, but it means all the routine, repeatable stuff I don't have to sit and train everybody on now. Like go log onto the training platform and watch it, and then if they've slipped on their ICs, go watch it again. That's been really, really helpful. And then the VAs, they have been a game changer, having the VAs come in, because otherwise I still do to some extent, but I'll run that constant mental list of like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, and I could be doing this and I could be doing that, which before I had the VAs was just like in my head on a constant loop of stuff that should be getting done. Whereas now I've got them, as I say, I can literally just send them a voice note and it happens and it moves forwards. So that's been the biggest things, I think, trusting the team to step away clinically and getting over whatever barrier was keeping me in there. Because there's only so many hats you can wear at once. It's really hard
Yeah.
To be a practitioner, wearing a practitioner hat, writing GP letters, referrals, all that side, and be a marketer and be HR and recruitment and training and teaching, and you know what I mean? Like, at some point you've got to go, like, that hat's being put down. So yeah, that's definitely, like, really helped, to just having that consciousness of all the different roles I was trying to hold and go, which ones can be put down and delegated, because no one at the moment can replace the thinking about the business, like the strategy and the decision making. That has to be me. So yeah, delegating and putting down the rest with appropriate training.
And you mentioned the college. What is it exactly that you're teaching at the college? Is it business stuff or is it technique stuff? What are you doing at Scotland? It's Scotland College of Chiropractic, right? Okay.
Scotland College of Chiropractic in Edinburgh, yeah. So it's a new degree programme, so we're kind of writing it as we go along. And they asked if I'd be the rehab module lead. So although it's it is a straight chiropractic college, they don't have physio aspects and things to it. Obviously, rehab is such an important element of understanding clients' progression, how they get better, but they wanted that to be taught by more of a rehab specialist, that they very kindly decided I fitted that bill. So in the third year, I teach a module on rehab for the third years. Nice,
that's really cool. Yeah, you've got a lot going on. It's very impressive that you're able to juggle, and I think it just shows, like, with having good team, good systems, good standing operating procedures. We probably actually should loop back, because people might not understand what you mean by a training program, or like that you had like the online courses. But then let me know if I'm wrong here. But it's like you have like say for a CA, you have like what we call a boot camp, right? So when the new CA comes on board, they'll watch all the videos, and it's probably you talking to the camera, or maybe with like a Google Doc up, and you're going to be talking. It's exactly like what Stefan does probably in his training program, but for your team. And you're going to be talking about, this is how we greet people, this is where this is stored, this is how we organize notes, etc., etc. And then it means that when someone new comes on board, or someone's on sick leave and you need cover, it's really easy to ramp someone up, and it's not time intensive for you. So once you get to a business that's making probably 30-40k a month, is definitely a task that you won't enjoy, but you will enjoy the outcome, because we have that right now. So we're able to ramp up team members with very, very minimal manager input, which is great. At least over the first like week or two, they just can watch videos and go through trainings and practice, which is exactly what you want when you're scaling a business.
Yeah, exactly. It's that onboarding side. Like I've kind of found it can't replace you being with them and observing them and giving feedback and things once they get to a certain stage. But say all the initial onboarding, it's great. And it gives them, I think it gives them like a much better insight, because it also means your message is consistent to every team member as well. Whereas like I'd like to think that I present our core values the same way and our team standards the same way. But in reality, do you? Whereas if it's all on a video, like, you know, they've all had the same message.
Yeah, I really love boot camps. We spend a lot of time building boot camps, and we're even going to build out our own client one as well, which we're doing in a minute, because it's just such high leverage when you're recording a video and then you know that 10, 20, 30 people are going to watch it. Even this video we're doing right now, this is going to go in our client training boot camp, because it's going to be helpful information for many, 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 many people. Now, the last thing, so there's been a lot of golden nuggets in here. We'll probably do a summary at the end. The last thing is, this is kind of where we do the promotion of of Align Flow, which is your Facebook transition. Because even though at the start of this interview, I went through how you were getting 0 patients when you first started working with us from Facebook. Now you're getting around 15, 20 per month consistently from us. So, but it wasn't that you weren't running Facebook ads. Like, you've actually ran Facebook ads for a long time. So there was actually quite a big transition. It wasn't like, oh, we weren't trying Facebook ads and then it worked. It was like, we were trying Facebook ads and it wasn't working at all. And then now it's kind of working. So yeah, kind of talk me through how the transition you had from working with us.
Yeah, so I guess we've kind of seen it over the whole kind of 7 years of when we first opened and learned how to do Facebook ads. Like, it was amazing. You can get leads for pennies, and people, 50% conversions possible, and new clients are £20-30 a new client. and we had all that, and it was amazing. And it changes. That's the thing with Facebook; it always bloody changes. And you have to kind of really know what you're doing with the algorithms and the rules and all that sort of stuff to keep up with it. So we've gone through like it working really well for us. We've been through again various agencies. They've been good, then they've not been, whatever. And then our last one, we just got to the stage where we were still getting the leads. There was still a reasonable price per lead, but they just weren't converting. Like, even though we were doing the same client follow-up procedures that we do for all our other marketing sources, like we were still converting website leads and things. So I knew the front desk was still doing their job, but it just wasn't working from a clients in the diary perspective. You know, my Facebook guy could have gone, oh, but look at all these leads at a really cheap price, but if they're not clients in the diary, that doesn't count for anything. So obviously, I say we'd met previously, but then I also had a couple of friends who'd moved across to you in the 6 months prior to us joining, and obviously they'd said they were really happy and we're getting results. And I think the other really appealing thing about what you guys do is it's not just the lead generation, it's the client follow-up and the booking in the diary, because that is not easy. If anyone's ever tried to do it, like, you don't just run an advert, get leads, and then magically clients in your diary. That whole follow-up process is an art form in itself. And to try and train your front desk, like, even if you know what to do, to try and train your front desk on how to do it well and things, is really difficult. So that was a massive appeal with the fact that you guys did the lead follow-up. And it's worked really well. Like, obviously we talked honestly at the beginning and said how long it might be before we got results working, and I think we kind of both time framed it might be a month or so maybe, was you played with everything in the background, and I think it was only actually 2 weeks before we started hitting some strong numbers, and everyone's been really good at keeping on top of the numbers. They send us numbers every week about how everything's getting on, wanting to know which clients are converting, changing strategies when we need to. Like, everyone's just been really on top of it from the beginning.
And I think as well, you do have a really, really great mindset towards it, because you've been a practice that has run ads for a while. Again, we talk about your areas, quite a decent amount of competition. For some clinics, like, we still work with clinics now, and they'll start with us and we get that like amazing influx, and they'll have that for years where they have all that low-hanging fruit. But our practice has been there for 7 years, tried Facebook ads for a while. You are gonna plateau and you just have to work a bit harder, which is why the dynamic, I really love it, where we are just in complete control of everything. And that means if things going well done to us, but if things aren't, we know it's completely on us. Whereas like the agency dynamic you had before, it's like, oh, we're getting a lot of leads, you're not converting them, it's on you. You don't really want that. You preferably want to have it so that the agency is completely accountable for absolutely everything, because then they're going to do the best thing on the ads, on the calls, on the lead nurture, on everything. And we also are focused on like the quality of people that are coming your way as well, to the best extent we possibly can.
Yeah, and I think you guys kind of really understand the industry as well, and what happens on the other side. So I think that kind of really helps, that you understand the new client process from a chiropractor and a physio point of view. Whereas again, a lot of agencies don't. They understand Facebook and how to generate a lead, but don't necessarily know what's happening on the back end. So that's been really good.
What would you say to someone who's on the fence about working with us? Because I know we actually I think we may have had 3 calls, or maybe it was 2, but you definitely, like, there was a few. Oh yeah, because I had a conversation, I think, with yourself twice, and then Dan before you signed up. So there was definitely a lot of thought that went into it. So what would you say to those people, maybe yourself, when you were on the fence back when we first spoke?
Well, I guess we have been around a little while and tried different agencies. We've been burnt. You can vary either Google Ads or Facebook. If you're with the wrong person, it's not just the agency fee that you're paying every month, it's whatever the spend on the adverts is, and you can very quickly be $2,000 a month down in the wrong direction, with nothing coming back in. So we've been there. We therefore are a little bit more cautious now about who we will work with, and we know now if we have those initial meetings, like we'd never sign up on an initial meeting now. We'll always then have some questions, and how someone handles you going back with questions, I think, is really important, because like they're genuine questions that we have, but if somebody doesn't know the answers or won't give a straight answer, then that's a bit of a red flag that it's an agency you shouldn't work with. So that's why I came back and said, okay, realistically, give me a time frame. Like, I know it's not going to be week one. You know, great if it's a business that hasn't run Facebook ads before and they do switch them on and just week one it's new clients, happy days. But that's not how most of these sorts of advertising work. Like, it will take a few weeks to start getting going. And, you know, we've had agencies in the past who just wouldn't have answered that, or would have given a really rubbish answer, whereas the fact that you were prepared to say the first month might suck and then it's going to get good in month 2, you know, that's just, it's honest, and then you all know where you're at. So I think definitely for other business owners, like, obviously we trust you guys now, but just you also have to know and understand the process. I think as a business owner, like, you've got to understand what a cost per lead and a cost per client is and what's realistic. Like I said before, 20, 30 pound new clients, most places that's not going to be realistic now. I'd say more like 100 maybe pounds new clients is going to be realistic, but you need to kind of know that as the business owner so you can have conversations with agencies. But I say you guys have been so well informed across the whole process, from the content creation side for what you need for videos, photos, and understanding it all the way through to what we're doing with initial consults and reports. Then you are a good agency to work with.
Well, thank you very, very much, Kat. Is there anything else you would like to say? Or actually, you do some coaching as well, so if anyone is interested in working with Kat on the coaching side, or maybe you're not adding that, you're not having that hat on anymore, but if you are, then people can reach out to you, I assume.
Yeah, I do still have it on. At the moment, I've just got a couple of people that I coach one-on-one, but I literally just wrote an email yesterday that I haven't hit send on, floating the idea of a coaching program. Probably, I'd say it's more for women in business without sounding sexist, but, you know, just calls at times that work for mums, and so that's ruminating, and I'll see whether it comes to anything.
Where's the best place for people to reach you if they are interested? Instagram or?
No, I'm a dinosaur. I'm only on Facebook, so Katrina Lake on Facebook, or drop me an email at katrina@laketherapy.co.uk.
Fantastic stuff. Well, that was a pleasure. That was really good fun. 41 minutes, boof, so quick. But that was a great amount of value for people. And thank you so much, Katrina, and looking forward to more and more success with you. Very, very well done for everything that you've achieved with your practice, and yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.